Section 4. Section 4 is dealing with backing. You know, this is really a problem when we're talking about fifth wheels or towables. And if you're not comfortable with it, I'd say get acquainted with it. If you don't want to teach fifth wheels, please let us know. If you are going to teach only motorhomes, you've got to realize that there's, again, not as many Class A's or Class B's, Class C's being sold these days. There are more towables and fifth wheels being sold. A couple things, and I want to talk a little bit about my way of doing the backing with a fifth wheel or a towable. You know, I've heard a lot of speculation about how to do this, and I would share with you that, you know, I've been told, George, you're just not doing it right. But I got to tell you, it's been successful for me. When I learned how to drive a semi, I had a great luxury. I had an open parking lot, 2 days, and a semi, you know, to practice backing up. Backing up can take two forms, though. Straight line backing, a curved backing, backing on a curve, and then the third part is actually simulating backing into a spot. Now I say simulate because, again, if you bring along cones or some device, it could be empty, or milk bottles, empty milk bottles that you filled with some water to stabilize them. But again, establish a distance or a place where you want them to follow the line, follow a curve, or actually do the backing. Now, again, here's where this is a secret. I'm kidding, of course. When you have a towable or a fifth wheel, if you are initially ready to do the backing, I say put your hand on the bottom of the steering wheel. If you want the towed vehicle, your fifth wheel, your trailer, to go to the left, you take and turn from the bottom of the wheel toward the left. The vehicle will then, and again, you need to just try it to make sure that you're comfortable with this, but again, then the vehicle, the towed vehicle, will start moving in that direction. At some point, you can lose it pretty quick with a fifth wheel or a towable. But next step is to, and I just tell them to stop. Once they realize that they have established a curve, an angle coming into a spot, then reach to the top of the steering wheel, and now if you want your truck, your pickup to follow, you need to realize that you need to, again, if you're talking about a left back end, that you start moving from the top of the wheel toward the left, the direction you want the vehicle to follow. Sometimes it's a jerky procedure. You do a little bit of establishing the direction of the trailer, and then the second part of it is establishing or following, you know, the trailer into the lot or into the spot that you're trying to back into. As much as I've been criticized for it, it works for me. But again, this is the way that I normally teach how to back up a fifth wheel or a towable. The lesson changes quite a bit if you're talking about backing a Class A, Class B, Class C, because again, you've got a long wheelbase, and again, that long wheelbase becomes a challenge only to the effect that, or to the standpoint, or from the standpoint that backing in sometimes gets to be a lot of jerkiness in trying to get the thing established into the spot, or to back it into the spot. One of the things, again, I emphasize is that people have to realize with a Class A or a Class BC or ABC type coach, that sometimes, frequently, you're going to have to turn the wheel all of the way to the stop. In other words, the maximum turning angle of the steering wheel. Moving into and out of the spot like this, again, we can talk at length about, you know, the specifics of the turn, but it takes practice. You know, I've been criticized too, because again, there are some people who believe that they should have spots all over the vehicle. Spots, little dots that help them do their backing, try to establish a place in the lane, and things like that. My feeling is it's not really what I want to teach. I want people to get comfortable with judging and learning to judge distances. My criticism with people who deal with spots is sometimes the spot gets knocked off. You have a little wash job, or the glue gets comes loose or whatever. All of a sudden that thing isn't there, and that dependency that you've established is gone. I don't like establishing dependencies for some little dot. You have to have good judgment whenever you're driving these vehicles, and only one thing will do it, and that's experience. That's experience. Do it and do it over and over again. With a backup of the Class A, B, or C, again, I like to have them back at least 100 yards. Also with the with a towable, back at least 100 yards, at least 100 yards, sometimes 200 yards. But again, it's important that they do it and experience, especially with a towable, that you can lose it pretty doggone quick. That concludes my section on backing, and again, I'd like to emphasize, please give me a call. Let's talk about backing specifically, and this is going to be a series of calls between you and I, but this is important to me that you understand and that we're on the same page as far as teaching. If you got a better technique for backing, I got no problem with that, but again, this is the way that I found was fairly successful. This ends this section.